So that was it for income elasticity. The third type of elasticity we are going to talk about, number 3, is the cross elasticity of demand, or in short, it's called XED. Okay, so the definition, once again, I'm going to highlight the titles so they're easier to find. Okay, so the definition. So XED measures the change in quantity demanded of good A if the price of good B changes by 1%. Okay, so it may sound a little bit complex to you guys. So it's very simple. The price of good B, price of one good in the market has changed, gone up or gone down. As a result, what we are trying to calculate is by how much will the quantity demanded of another good change by. So for example, suppose the price of sugar has gone up. As a result, what happens to the quantity demanded of coffee? Or the price of Pepsi has gone down. As a result, what happens to the quantity demanded of Coke? You know, it's easy as that. So we will look at some examples, of course, don't worry. So the formula for XED is given by, so new quantity demanded of good A minus old quantity demanded of good A divided by summation of the two divided by 2. So this whole thing divided by, no, not this. So new price of good B minus old price of good B divided by, we add them up, price, old price of, I'll just rewrite this. Divided by 2, this whole thing. So you guys should be seeing a pattern by now. And the formulas should, if it was looking a bit daunting initially, they should be appearing quite simple right by now to remember, let's say. So let's come here. So suppose we have good A and good B in the market. Okay. So price of good B is, let's say, 100. When price is 100, quantity demanded of good B is, let's say, 60. Quantity demanded of good A is 90. Doesn't matter what goods these are. And then price goes up to 120. Now, because of this, you buy 50 of this, and suppose you buy 110 of this. Okay. All right. Now, just for practice, let's calculate the price elasticity of demand of good B. We've done PED already, so for practice, let's see. What happens when price of good B, when price of good B goes up, what happens to its quantity demanded? So pause the video, try to solve it yourself, and then come back and see me do it. The way I will do it is 50 minus 60 divided by 50 plus 60 by 2. This whole thing divided by 120 minus 100 by 120 plus 100 by 2. So minus 10 divided by 55, and this whole thing is divided by 20 divided by 110. Oh, so we get minus 1. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that when price of B changed by 1%, quantity demanded of B change by 1%. Therefore, good B is unit elastic. Okay, so that's PD. We've done that already. What we want to now calculate is XED. I'll just write it down a bit further down. Okay, so here's the formula. So once again, why don't you guys pause the video, try and solve it yourselves, and then you can come back and watch me solve it. So what we will have is 110 minus 90 divided by 110 plus 90 by 2. This thing divided by the price. So 120 minus 100 divided by 120 plus 100 by 2. So what we get from here is 20 divided by 100, this whole thing divided by 20 divided by 110. So we get 1.1. Okay, so XED is 1.1. So once again, I'm repeating, calculating this is very simple. What matters is whether we can interpret it or not. So the interpretation of this is when price of good B changed by 1%, quantity demanded of good B changed by 1.1%. Okay, but there is an important thing to keep in mind of. So values of XCD. Now, XCD once again can take on 4 different values. 1, XCD can be less than minus 1. 2, XCD can be between minus 1 and 0. 3, XCD can be between 0 and 1. And 4, XCD can be more than 1. So once again, let's start with this two, okay? Because that is what we have, you see. XCD is 1.1. So this is what we have. XCD is more than 1.1. What we can say here for 3 and 4 is that when price of good B is going up, quantity demanded of good A is going up. If it's not obvious to you guys what that means for A and B, please once again pause the video and think about it for 5 minutes. What type of goods, what type of good will experience an increase in quantity demanded if the price of another good goes up? These are obviously substitute goods. When price of Coke goes up, quantity demanded of Pepsi goes up, because once Pepsi becomes more expensive, you'd rather have Coke. This too, when XED is negative, means that when price of one good is going up, quantity demanded of the other good is going down. So these are complementary goods. So shoes and socks. If price of shoes go up, quantity demanded of shoes will go down, but quantity demanded of socks will also go down. Conversely, if the price of shoes go down, QD of shoes will go up, but QD of socks will also go up. Okay, so that's how you differentiate them. And once again, so over here, number one, this is elastic, this is inelastic, this is inelastic, and this is elastic. And once again, I'm not explaining why. Just think about it. And then if you have any problems, you can always ask your instructors. But please think about it and try to figure out on your own why 1 and 4 are elastic and 2 and 3 are inelastic.